Okay, C major. Played one B flat in there. Did you hear that? For just a brief second, I was flirting with the idea of modulating to F, and then I realized that I had already declared that that would be a C major etude. If I wasn't demonstrating, I might have modulated to F, because why not? C7, C major to C7 to F is a nice progression anyway, very smooth. If you're practicing now, use what I just played as a guide. Don't imitate me. Use your own musical sources to create a piece that's coming from you. But you can use what I demonstrated as just a guide to help you. That was an example of a C major etude, an improvisation in the key of C major, using some harmonic movement. So I was focusing sometimes moving from D minor, for example, to G7, back to C, sometimes to A minor, and helping me create a harmonic flow within sort of a modal context. Now, another way to approach this sort of improvisation is to just think of the 7 tones and improvise freely on the 7 tones of the major scale with no consideration for harmonic movement. Now, of course, I say that, but if a harmonic movement or a modality of the tonality comes into your mind, use it. We're not trying to avoid anything. We just want to be open and to play music. In the meantime, we'll declare our intentions for this piece, which will be in the key of F major, I guess, to improvise freely just on the 7 tones. The other piece was a warm-up, and so as the piece progressed, it became more and more complex, expanding the register both up and down, articulation kind of things, some more rapid passages. Also, perhaps you noticed that there was times where the horn was just off the lips, giving the lips a chance, letting some space go by in the music. Great training is to let space go by when you're playing in time, but keep the time happening in that space. The silence, the space between notes can be just as important, if not more important sometimes, than the notes themselves. So we can spend a little time focusing on the space between the notes. Now, during the space, we're often focusing on our breath as well, right? And posture, but especially the breath. Noticing when we take the breath. And during a performance, reminding ourselves to take the breath. It's just a subtle reminder that's just always here, the breath, every time. In your practice sessions, you feel like you need work on your breath, then I suggest that whenever you're playing at home alone and you notice that you didn't take the breath, then you should stop playing. So if you continue playing, then you're reinforcing the, shall we say, shallow breath. And so in order to lose that not so good habit of shallow breaths, we need to replace it with the breath. Every time you notice that you don't take the breath, then stop. And then the next breath you take, let it be the breath. And then stay with the breath every time you breathe until it becomes second nature, or as close to second nature as we can imagine, which means reminding, noticing when it's not happening, and then bring it in. Ideally, we want to be breathing the breath every breath while we're performing on the instrument. When I say performing, I mean practicing, performing for yourself, training. Training is a nice word, nice concept, but it becomes a little too athletic if we train ourselves too much. You know what I mean? We want to be performing, creating, playing some music. The definition of practicing in the musical community is, you know, working on your stuff at home. And I kind of like the the definition that lawyers use. I'm a practicing lawyer, I'm a practicing doctor. That means you're doing it. Practicing means doing. And so sometimes musicians spend too much time preparing to do rather than doing. This is the exercise, the calisthenic part. Keep that at a minimum so that we can spend most of our time doing, playing, performing. Now, if you're practicing, put the machine on pause and go perform an etude in the key of C major, or any key you want. All right, go do it. It should be from 3 to 5 minutes long, the first one, depending on your shape and how much endurance you have. But 3 to 5 minutes is good. Have a clock nearby so you can time it, and then go perform a piece. I'll wait for you. See you in a minute. Okay, you're back, right? Did you do it? I hope so. How did it feel? C major. If C major is not comfortable, stay there tomorrow, or stay there today again, and stay there for a while until you become more and more comfortable with that key, and then move on to the next key. Move through the cycle of fourths, or the cycle of fifths, or chromatically, it doesn't matter, but you want to hit all the keys. If you are a more intermediate player, you might want to spend a whole week, or maybe even a month on a key, but a whole week, and then that means you could go through all 12 keys in 12 weeks. If you're more advanced, 1 key a day, or 2 or 3 keys a day. Right now I'm moving to the key of F major. Once all the major tonalities are starting to feel comfortable, then you can move to the minor. And in minor, the most common is the ascending melodic minor in jazz. The most common minor jazz tonality is the ascending melodic minor scale, which is just the major scale with a minor third. The rest of the notes are the same. In classical theory, the ascending melodic minor is not the same as a descending melodic minor. But in this case, the case of jazz, we use it as a tonality and consider it the same, going up and going down. It's the major scale with a minor third, the ascending melodic minor scale. That's another great exercise. One note and everything changes. So anyway, when you feel more comfortable with the major scale, then you will move on to that later. Okay, so here we have Etude number 2 for the day in the key of F major. And I just announce my intentions to do more flexibility work, continue with legato playing, but also some different articulations, sometimes exploring articulations just on one note, but all in the context of the piece, the improvisation, the etude. Etude, what's the definition of etude? An etude is a piece of music designed to enhance one or more techniques. It's a great concept. Etude, a piece of music designed to enhance one or more techniques. Well, this is an improvisational etude.